Hello, welcome to What If Tanjiro Was Born a Demon King Part 3. Last time we left off with the end of the Mugen Train arc and Rengoku's survival. With that out of the way, let's begin. A few weeks later, Tanjiro heard a commotion outside the butterfly estate as Uzue Tenjin was kidnapping Aoi and a few of the helper girls. Seeing this, Tanjiro jumped into action, snatching the girls from his grip, putting them on the ground next to KNY, then asking what he was trying to do. With Uzue explaining that he needs 3 girls to go on a mission with him to the red light district to retrieve his wives. Hearing this, Tanjiro volunteers to go on the mission, transforming into a beautiful female fitting an Orion using his demonic abilities. Then recommending Nezuko and Hanako to come too, as they could also look like Orions and had the power to match and kill any demons present. Once they arrived, Tenjin had no problem finding houses willing to take the girls in. Not too long into their investigations, they all found the reasons as to why the wives haven't been responding to Uzue's letters, and not too long later, Nezuko would encounter Daki Upper Moon 6 under the name Werebeim, pulling on the ear of a little girl for trivial manners. Using her connection to Tanjiro, she informed him about Daki's presence, who in response told Hanako. With the others now informed, Nezuko grabbed the wrist of Werebeim, asking her to let go of the little girl. However, she didn't, instead attempting to slam her fist into Nezuko's face. But when it made contact, it did nothing, so in return, Nezuko slammed her free arm into Daki's arm she was holding, snapping it in half in a very unnatural direction, then kicking her out the window, jumping out after her. She then grabbed her by the hair, launching her into the air, then appearing behind her axe kicking her to the ground, a bit outside the district. Letting her get up, then using a butterfly kick to slam her back into the floor, stomping on her arms, igniting her using her blood demon art explosive blood, burning Daki as she screamed in pain. After messing with her for a while, Hanako arrived with their swords, activating her own blood demon art, Cupid's flame, which puts the opponent into a trance where they cannot move while covered in the flames if they are weaker than the user, and greatly slows the opponent's cognitive functions, making their reactions sloppy and late if they are stronger than the user. While Daki was unable to move, Nezuko uses flower-breathing 4th form, Ponies of Futility, to slice of Daki's head. However, despite being decapitated, she did not start to disintegrate like a normal demon would. Instead, she started to cry, screaming for her brother. Not too long after, a figure started to grow out of Daki's back, putting his sister's head back on, healing her, promising to kill all the bullies, introducing himself as Gyutaro, charging towards the duo with a flesh sickle in each hand. The duo easily dodges the attack, deciding that Hanako will behead Daki again while Nezuko fights Gyutaro. They both activate the transparent world, allowing them to see through their respective opponents' bodies to predict their movements and avoid them. As an added precaution, Nezuko activated flower-breathing final form, Equinoctial Vermilion Eye, to raise her kinetic vision to its maximum, allowing her to perceive attacks in slow motion to dodge. Usually this would put a lot of stress on the eyes, causing partial or full blindness, but because she is a demon, she rapidly regenerates any damage, allowing her to use it to its fullest potential. With this, they easily beat their demons, beheading them, sending their heads crashing to the ground side by side. At the same time, Tanjiro had found Daki's food stash, slicing the belts with exact precision, freeing Tenjin's wives and any others who were intertwined in them. With the mission over, they returned to their estates. While sparring with Takeo, Tanjiro accidentally snapped both their blades in half, quickly using his biokinesis to weld it together, however deciding to travel to the red light district to have it reforged just in case it wasn't enough. While waiting for their swords to be reforged, Tanjiro and Takeo meet up with Matsuri Kanroji and Hanako, who were there to bathe in the hot springs, as they are said to be beneficial to mental and physical health, making your skin super smooth, so Tanjiro makes a mental note to visit them later. While talking, Matsuri tells Tanjiro about a rumor that there is a legendary sword somewhere in the village, which intrigues Tanjiro, so he decides to search for it after relaxing in the hot springs. While in the hot spring, Tanjiro finds Genya Shinazugawa, who acts coldly towards him, remembering the time he had broken his arm back at final selection, deciding to storm out. After relaxing for half an hour, basking in the beauty of the hot springs, Tanjiro decided to get out to search for the legendary sword. When he heard a commotion, running towards it, Tanjiro finds Muagio Tokito beating up Kotetsu, one of the residents at the swordsmith village, deciding to intervene, putting an end to the fight, as Muagio walks away. Kotetsu then fixes the Yoritichi Type 0 training doll so Tanjiro could fight it. While fixing it, Kotetsu mentions that Tanjiro looks like Yoritichi Type 0 as he was still in his assault form, but Tanjiro states that it is probably a coincidence, but then remembering what Rengoku's father said about Tanjiro's mark and earrings and sun breathing, says that it is likely that he is his successor of some sort. After considering the possibilities of that statement and what it entails, Tanjiro starts to fight the doll at its highest settings, and despite the doll having 6 arms to try come close to replicating Yoritich's speed and power, Tanjiro easily countered all the attacks with Burning Bone Summer Sun, then switching to Beneficent Radiance, cutting off all 6 arms, slicing the doll's head off with Setting Sun Transformation, and slicing it down the middle with Clear Blue Sky. Seeing the destruction he had caused, Tanjiro prostrated and profusely apologized, but Kotetsu said it was fine and was fun to watch anyway. After Tanjiro had got up, he saw a sword with a golden hilt, with a black and gold zuba to match the hilt, and a black blade with red flame marks running from the bottom to the blade across the slashing edge all the way to the top, albeit covered in a thick coat of rust, clearly being ancient and well crafted to last as long as it did. Pulling the sword out, Tanjiro realized that it is probably the secret sword Mitsuri was referring to and probably belonged to the ancient swordsman Yoritichi Type 0 was based after, giving it to Higanzuka to be restored. While still waiting for his sword to be reforged, passing time by talking with Muagio, they are attacked by upper rank 4 Hantengu. In the span of a blink of an eye, Tanjiro and Muagio assume their battle stances. Muagio attempts to behead the upper rank by using the mist breathing, 4th form, shifting flow slash, but Hantengu easily dodges the attack by leaping onto the ceiling still screeching from fear, begging the demon slayers to stop jumping him. So, Tanjiro reacts by informing Hantengu that he is not innocent at all, as since he is an upper rank, he has consumed a plethora of innocent people in order to increase his power. Tanjiro unsheathes his temporary Nishirin blade that Higanzuka forged due to him leaving the swordsmith village before the latter can finish polishing the ancient blade, pinning Hantengu to the wall using his biokinesis, slicing his head off with ease using Raging Sun. However, Hantengu regenerates from his head and body, creating 2 different bodies. Suddenly Muagio is blown out the building by one of the clone's fans. Seeing this, Tanjiro activates the transparent world and selfless state, now being able to predict Hantengu's moves before he makes them, shooting a multi-exploding sun scatter shot forcing Hantengu to try dodge, blowing off both the clone's arms, then using Fire Wheel to appear behind the first clone, decapitating it, using biokinesis to once again pull Hantengu to him, using Solar Heat Haze to slice off the second clone's head, making the 2 turns into 4. Tanjiro was about to attack again when one of the clones had their heads shot off by Genya, who followed up by slicing the head off the second clone. The 3rd and 4th ones tried to retaliate while the decapitated clones regenerate, by attacking Genya, but before the attack could land, Tanjiro used an explosive sun to negate it, cutting the newly regenerated heads back off, as well as the 3rd ones, pointing his sword towards the 4th one, stabbing it in the chest with Sunflower Thrust, as an attempt to not die. All the clones merged together to form the Hate Clone, but in the end, Tanjiro managed to behead him using High no Kami Kagura, Flame Dance. However, the head Tanjiro cut was not the real Hantengu, proven as the headless body of Hantengu continues to run away. Tanjiro eventually locates Hantengu's real body inside of the headless Hantengu's heart, using the transparent world. Ultimately, Hantengu finally dies after having his torso slashed by Tanjiro, with Mitsuri and Hanako arriving shortly after. Meanwhile, Muagio sees Kotetsu being attacked by a demon. He contemplates saving him but suddenly remembers Tanjiro Kamadu's words and beheads the demon, telling Kotetsu to escape. When Kotetsu intensely thanks him and apologizes for his original hatred towards him, Muagio's memories spur as he remembers recovering under the care of the Yubaya family. Kotetsu leads Muagio to where Kazo Kanamori is. As Kazo starts making for the shed to retrieve the new blade, Muagio pulls him back as he senses the presence of upper rank 5, Gyoko. Muagio attacks him, but Gyoko moves to different pots and avoids his slashes. He summons more fish demons that send an array of needles towards Kazo and Kotetsu, but Muagio shields them and tells them to move out of the way. Gyoko reveals the needles are poisonous and berates Muagio, resulting in another sudden memory recurring to him. He tries to attack Gyoko, but gets trapped in his blood demon water prison pot. His attempt to break out using the mist breathing, 1st form, low clouds, distant haze is unsuccessful. As he thinks about his approaching demise, he suddenly hears his father speaking from Tanjiro's body. Kotetsu swiftly arrives to provide him with a breath of oxygen and he is able to break out using the mist breathing, 2nd form, 8-layered mist, remembering it was his father who said the same thing as Tanjiro had earlier. After escaping from the water prison, Muagio's memories of his past all come back. The anger over his brother's death manifests into his Demon Slayer mark, his speed and abilities dramatically increasing as he goes into the shed and attacks Gyoko, who comments on his relaxed face. Gyoko retaliates with his blood demon art, Octopus Vase Hell, and Muagio's blade breaks trying to cut it, prompting Kazo to quickly hand him his new one. Muagio slices through the demon's attack and thanks Kazo, in which he replies that he only followed the instructions of the late Tetsuado. At the mention of his name, Muagio remembers his old swordsmith's worry for him and internally apologizes, remarking that he was okay now and uses the mist breathing, fifth form, Sea of Clouds and Haze, landing a blow on Gyoko's neck. Muagio and Gyoko start insulting each other, with the latter growing furious after the former insults his pot. He uses another blood demon art, 10,000 gliding slime fish, but Muagio easily counters it with the mist breathing, sixth form, a lunar dispersing mist and the mist breathing, third form, scattering mist splash, slicing the head of the demon as he escapes to a tree. When Gyoko tries to show off his new form, Muagio's indifferent attitude towards it enrages him again and he attacks, which Muagio dodges and smiles, commenting on the uselessness of his offense. Another scuffle between the two ensues, with Gyoko using his blood demon art, Killer Fish Scales and Muagio responding with the form he personally developed, his mist breathing, seventh form, Obscuring Clouds. When Gyoko tries to find him in a sea of mist, Muagio effortlessly decapitates him. After the battle, Muagio starts foaming at the mouth due to poison and falls unconscious after verifying Kotetsu is alive. Just as the fight ends, Takeo arrives using his blood demon art explosive weapons to cut the needles, to limit the spread of the poison and destroy any surface level poison. Okay guys, this is the end of the third part. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, remembering to turn on the notification button. With that being said, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.